Hello there, friends, and welcome to Worms and Warriors, and welcome to Grand Tactician the Civil War. I've got a bit of a problem. I recorded this episode, and my audio recorder just didn't pick anything up. It just left the whole thing, was just background hiss, basically. There was no vocal sound at all. I don't know what happened. It's never happened before, so I'm going to try something I've never tried before. I'm going to try and narrate this episode that I recorded after the fact. So usually I would record the video and the audio at the same time, obviously, while I'm playing, because it makes it a bit easier that way. Well, it does for me anyway. I'm going to see if I can narrate this as it goes and see how it comes out. If it's terrible, then I do apologise. It's I've never done it before, so here we go. Here's the episode. So welcome to Grand Tactician. Here we are in the campaign overview. We're going to have a look through what's going on here, basically, and see what's happening. Before we get started, so if you're new here, why not check out the channel and subscribe to it if you like this sort of content. We've got a lot of strategy gaming going on here. This is the first time I'm narrating like this. It's very difficult. I don't know what I'm actually waffling on about in the actual video, but right here we're talking about Grand Tactician, of course, and this campaign, which is heading into episode 5. If you're new here, these videos are always chaptered. We're talking about here the main action occurred at the Battle of Fort Pillow in the last episode. We drove back the Union Army of the Mississippi under Fremont. We did a pretty good job of that, I think. They're pulling back up towards the north there. And we're now besieging Fort Pillow. Ready to... Just while I'm at it, I thought I would mention that Grumpy Grunt Par Gaming has got a new series of Grand Tactician on the go with the AOM mod, which is a mod I had been thinking about using, but I never did. Anyway, it's a good series. It's just started episode 1, so if you're new here or if you don't know Grumpy, go and check them out. I'll put a link in the description. We're just talking about the new recruits going in here into the Eastern Department, so we're going to bulk out our troops in Virginia a little bit. Going through what's coming, a couple of cavalry units there, some artillery and some infantry coming in. We've got a few new viewer units as well, which I think I'll go through shortly. This is a very strange way of doing it. I'm used to just narrating as I'm going. This is very difficult. The Roanoke Colonists, that's a viewer unit. Volunteer High Tide is another one there. First Palmetto Sharpshooters did a nice job in their last battle. Queen's Own Volunteers as well. Their commander was killed or wounded. Pickett's first Australian Janissaries. Cool. Baton Rouge Boys. So lots of viewer units in this force here. The Northern Virginia force. Looking through the Shenandoah Army here under Joe Johnston. That's the 1st Georgia Regulars. Did a nice job in their battle as well. The first battle. Very, very nice indeed. 33rd VA Infantry also very, very well done there in their first battle. Everyone coming along quite nicely. 3rd Arkansas Volunteer Infantry. I'm talking about, I'm going to shift those guys out of there and put them into Claiborne's division as requested by the viewer who asked for this unit. Once we get some new recruits in. We've got a couple of guys recruiting into the Trans-Mississippi area, and once they're in there, we'll get them out. Ivory Guard, that's another new unit from a viewer. You requested 3 or 4, but I've only managed to put the 1 in for now. I'll stick some more in as we get on. A note that we're very short on weapons here. Mixed muskets for quite a lot of these troops. We've literally just got nothing at all. And I'm talking about D.H. Hill. He'll be going on to a division command at some point soon. So you'll get a new commander for this brigade because D.H. Hill is too good to keep at a brigade level, to be honest. Just looking through some of these other troops. 2nd VA Volunteer Infantry Brigade. Another viewer unit there. So we've got quite a lot of viewer units in-game. Yeah, so these are the guys we're recruiting in. The New Mexico Roughnecks. Under Maxey. You did ask for a New Mexico commander, but we haven't got any of those. We've put a Texas man in charge, which is as close as you're going to get, I suppose. 1,500 of those boys. And then mixed muskets again. We've got nothing else to give them. So once those 2 brigades are ready, we'll shift out the 3rd Arkansas into Claiborne's division as requested. However, Claiborne's fighting in the Army of Mississippi, of course, rather than in the Eastern Theater. But, you know, I'm sure they'll be fine. So those guys are going to see some action. Yeah, I'm probably complaining about how long the siege will take. So the Western Department, we're recruiting some troops in there. We're making a 2nd force. We're going to make the West Tennessee Army or something like that. Eastern Tennessee Army. Or Army of East Tennessee or whatever the heck I called it. We're going to make that once those recruits get in there. New troops coming in to bulk out the Virginia forces as well. So we know McDowell has pushed down into Alexandria. We can see that the town's being captured. He's marched from that kind of eastern side of Virginia, Delaware, whatever that is. I don't even know. I don't even know why I'm saying Delaware. Is it Maryland? Yeah, it's Maryland. He's marched from down there up back towards Washington, then crossed over to Alexandria. We've also marched up to take Grafton, which we're in the process of doing here. I'm complaining about how the AI managed to pull back towards Beverly, which somehow magically become one of his points. But, you know, it's just one of them things you just have to put up with. Campaign's moving on. And just while we're here, just a big hello to the new subscribers. Thanks very much for joining us. I appreciate that. Well, I'm not sure what I'm spouting about here, but I'm probably saying I'm going to move up with the Southern Virginia force under Magruder to support Beauregard's force at Manassas, which is what the plan was. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I don't know why I'm wiggling that around. I think I'm talking about the blockades, maybe. Oh, there we are, and I'm surprised to see that Patterson has also come down, and we are fairly outnumbered in this fight, so we're going to field about 30,000 men, give or take. Now, the editing screen's quite small. I can't actually see the exact numbers, but I do know that the Union outnumbered us quite a lot. I think they were knocking on the door of somewhere around 45,000 or so. I really can't remember, and I can't actually see the numbers, and I'm not wearing my glasses, which I should be. But yeah, so I'm saying here, if we're in an offensive scenario, we're going to have to probably pull out of this fight because it's just not doable, if I'm honest. It's just not doable at all. So I'm talking about here, I'm probably talking about that. So the battle's loading in here. I'm just going to pause the recording, and I'm going to make sure that this vocal recording that I'm doing separately has actually worked. So let's just hang fire here for a second. Yeah, so it seems to have worked more or less, and it seems we are in a defensive situation here, which I'm pretty pleased about. We're looking at where the Union's coming in from, and we're looking at our defenses here, what we need to take on. We've got the McLean farm at McLean's Ford, Blackburn's Ford. That's the two objectives that we've got to hold. We're starting off with the Northern Virginia Army in the field under Beauregard. So I'm just talking about setting up the defenses here and what I'm going to do. So the plan is basically to hold Blackburn's Ford, because I'm assuming that's where the main press is going to come from, but we're also having to keep an eye on the left flank there in case they try and pull us over. Now Magruder's going to be 13 hours, which it said it was going to be 9 hours on the campaign map, and I'm kind of complaining about that. But anyway, let's just crack on and cut on into the deployment. Yep, so the setup is pretty basic. We've put up some defences at Blackburn's Ford. I've set up some defences on our left flank just in case we get outflanked over Island Ford and whatever the other ford is along there. I can't remember. We've got Hill's Division guarding Mitchell's Ford. We've got one brigade guarding McLean's Ford. And a few guys in reserve there. So, I mean, it's all good, I think. I'm not feeling hugely optimistic about the battle since we're facing some quite high numbers, but, you know, a defensive scenario with the enemy having to cross a ford is always favourable for the defender, obviously. So I'm feeling reasonably optimistic about it, and just moving some guys around here. We're putting Jubal early into those defences on the left just in case we get outflanked. Basically, it's just a waiting game. It's already like afternoon. So I'm saying the majority of the fighting is likely to be the next day, once Magruder arrives and once Patterson arrives on the field. I'm expecting problems to be there, and then I'm detaching Ewell's brigade, which is on McLean's Fort there. We're just waiting for the enemy, trying to decide. We've got no cavalry to send out scouts either, so it's a bit of a problem. Basically, we're just sitting around waiting for them to come, which is all we have to do. I'm moving the artillery to see if we can get a better shot, because those trees there obscure the firing radius somehow. I mean, realistically, they would just fire over them, of course. Just manoeuvring some guys around. AP Hill's division is brand new. It's their first combat, which is why I haven't put them in the focal point, or at least I hope that wasn't going to be the focal point of the battle. So at Mitchell's Ford, I thought that would be like a secondary attack if anything comes that way. I thought he would press as hard as he can over Blackburn's Ford, which is what I would expect McDowell to do, and Patterson as well, to be honest. And we'll wait and see how that plays out. Sending some skirmishers off to the far left just to make sure no one's coming that way. Keeping an eye out. We're also getting out some skirmishers from one of these forces here. This is the first Palmetto sharpshooters, I think we get the skirmishers from. Just send them up towards the crossroads just to see if we can do a bit of scouting. Since we've got no cavalry, it gives us some eyes up on what's going on out ahead. Yeah, I couldn't quite get a click of them. It took them ages to come out, and there we go, pushing them forward towards that crossroads. It just, like I say, it just gives us eyes up what's coming. The Bull Run battlefield is one of those places I'd love to see one day. Maybe one day I'll visit the States and go and do a battlefield tour. If I can persuade the wife, of course. There are lots of places I want to see. Oh, and there we are, and we've spotted them with Keyes Brigade coming down there, and a couple other ones show up just after the 3rd Brigade. That's Sherman. So we pull the skirmishers out of there because we don't want them getting cut up. And I'm feeling fairly confident at this point that the push is going to come at Blackburn's Ford only, or majority. Now I'm talking about Ewell. I was thinking about pushing Ewell up on the right flank, but I didn't bother. So early I'm moving across instead. He's going to do a bit of support if the opportunity presents itself. Still just waiting on them, speeding things up a little bit here. ×5 in it. Yes, this is a strange way of doing things, a strange way of narrating the video. It feels very odd. I don't know what it's like to listen to. It might be terrible. I hope it's not, but you know, you never can tell. Just changing the volume a little bit there. I'm not sure why exactly, but you could see my terrible taste in music pop up. For some reason, when you change the sound on this computer now, I've got some new sound system installed. It shows up what you're listening to. Or what you had been listening to, anyway. I still don't really know what went wrong with that initial recording. I didn't change any settings or anything like that. And I'm recording just fine now, so God knows what happened there. But anyway, here they come. They're going to push over this ford. We're opening fire. George Pickett. With the 1st Australian Janissaries there. Queen's Own also opening up. Rifle armed infantry, both of these guys. Pickett with Mississippi rifles and the other ones with Springfield rifles. Then we've got Richard Taylor in reserve and the 1st Palmetto sharpshooters on the left as well under Jenkins. So just zooming out a little just to see what's going on, and I'm sending Jubal early off towards the right flank. Giving out long-range orders, even though I thought I had already done that, unless that happens a little later in the video, I can't remember. But either way, I thought I had already done it and it didn't come up. Either that happens now or later. They're kind of floundering in the ford, not really doing a lot, taking some casualties. Heavy fire from our entrenched infantry there. Difficult crossing, hundreds dead. Red-coated infantry there as well, which is a bit strange. Both those brigades in red coats. And that's Keyes Brigade wavering. 4th Brigade pushing back, pulling back rather. Can't say you blame them for that, of course. Not really getting much of a shot off with the artillery, which I'm complaining about here, I think. So I'm going to move them across to the left to join the Parrott rifles there, which are getting some shots off. they're pounding into the ford, and it's just they're all spazzing out. Well, it could be because there's that many troops trying to cross the ford. I suppose there's probably what, like 5,000 or 6,000 more men, maybe even trying to push through that ford under fire. So God knows what's going on, but they're spazzing out there, basically flickering around, which, you know, suits me down to the ground. We're happy to butcher them there in that ford, but I'd prefer it was not happening. But what can you do? Yeah, Yankees trying to cross in force there, but under artillery fire, under small arms fire, pretty tough ask really, to be honest. I doubt McDowell or Patterson will be in the front rank, that's for sure, trying to cross that. Yeah, we can see that jittering going on. It's really annoying, actually. The game still does this sometimes, but then I don't know if it's because the ford's overloaded. It could well be. I mean, the troops are literally kind of bunged up and blocked up. But our red-coated friends here giving some really steady fire, driving those Yankees back. Now, I'd usually edit this and speed up the footage a little bit, but I'm reluctant to do that when I'm recording audio separate. It's going to be a nightmare. And here, anyway, I think this is going to be a great idea. I'm going to hit them in the flank. The volunteer high-tiders are going to come and hit them, backed up by the Roanoke colonists. Yeah, great idea. The artillery's going to stay in place, though. And we're moving Jones's brigade across to offer some support. Should be needed on the left. Sherman's brigade running there. Again, can't blame them for that. The amount of fire they're taking, the casualties they're taking, it's crazy. And yeah, I'm wondering why Ewell hasn't marched across. Or Early, sorry, hasn't marched across. To the right. He's just kind of stayed at those crossroads. Now I'm like, what the heck? Didn't I tell him to go to the right flank? Yeah, I'm going, oh, let's go up there. But not that way, no. This way. Anyway, we're still blasting away into this infantry, who are taking horrendous casualties. Still jittering and jerking around there as well. There's so much stuff that they could do with fixing in this game, honestly. It's like, I wish they'd just get it done. I don't know how hard it is. I've never made a game, obviously, but it's pretty annoying. So here we go. 2 brigades hitting them in the flank. Push in, boys. And I think this is going to break the attack. Because, obviously, what is that, 5,000 men or so arriving on your flank is going to give you a bit of an issue. And it does. So here they go. Blasting in there. Sending them running. Then we push up with Daniels. Yeah, get in there, son. Push those blue bellies back. And Rains as well. Get up there. However, the casualties soon rack up. They're taking canister fire from artillery and they're just kind of inching forward constantly. It wasn't a good plan. Or at least it wasn't very well executed. So I'm trying to retreat with those guys, pull them back. But as anybody who plays this game knows, once you start falling back, that's when your boys are going to start breaking. Yeah, they are broken already. A couple of steps back and they are done. Streaming back over that ford with a couple of hundred casualties. Terribly executed flank attack that I thought was going to do better than it did, but it never did. Luckily, Rains manages to pull his cell out of there, but they are wavering by the time they get back over the river. Daniel's brigade is just kind of staggering around here, going backwards and forwards. Going back towards the Union lines here, which I don't get at all. So Rains has managed to pull himself out of there, but there's a brigade actually coming up towards the ford. So luckily we had David R. Jones's brigade there, who are moving up into the position. Hill's brigade is demoralised. Hill's division, sorry, is demoralised, but it's to be expected. They've suffered like 500 casualties, and it's their first battle. Daniel, that's what I'm talking about. He's marching back up towards the Union lines. I mean, like, what the hell? And he thinks better of it. Jubal Early's on the flank, and I'm kind of thinking about pushing him up, but then I think, well, that attack on the left flank didn't exactly go very well, so maybe we'll not bother. Now my hope is that we can defeat this army before Patterson arrives with his 20,000 reinforcements. Which I'm fairly hopeful of, because we've smashed the enemy quite badly here. Mauled them a lot of Blackburns forward. Speeding it up a little bit. Keeping an eye on that 2nd Brigade, the Union Brigade there coming up on our right flank, just in case they do anything drastic. But they're still trying to just push over that ford. It's just, there's so many troops there trying to get over. A bit of a nightmare really for them. I can't even imagine how horrendous this kind of fight would have been, actually. Real bad. So I'm starting to feel very confident at this point that the battle is won. Just pretty much just waiting for him to give the order to retreat, because they've been smashed. So the hope is that we can finish this before evening. It's like 1600 now, so we still have a few hours before sunset. So hopefully we can finish the job. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. Queen's Own Volunteers racking up the kills, racking up the experience. Real happy with the performance here. So I briefly thought about pushing forward again with those guys on the left, but then I think better of it, because A, we don't need it, and B, they'll probably run. So I'm kind of thinking ahead here to the future, because we know that they're going to pull out. But I know also that their guns are right back there, so they're going to manage to escape with most of their artillery, which I don't want at all. I want to capture some of that, because we haven't got any artillery. I'd also like to capture some rifles if we can, so we want to inflict as many casualties here as we can. They're clearly pulling out. We can tell that the pressure's less, so you can see them pulling backwards. When you play this game a little while, you kind of get a feel for the flow of the battle, and you can clearly feel at this stage that the enemy is pulling out. Which is a good thing, because that's what we wanted. We're hoping for minimal casualties on our side. I've not checked at all. I haven't gone onto that minor victory bar there where it tells you estimated casualties. I haven't looked. I like to keep that for the end. But it feels promising at this point. In fact, if we hadn't pushed forward with Hill's brigade, the casualty numbers would have been insanely in our favour, I think. There, yeah, we can feel they're going. We're sending out skirmishers to push across the river just to harass them and make sure they do actually go. We're just waiting for the notice for a retreat, to be honest. And there it comes, so we know they're going. So we're going to push on over this ford. We're going to see if we can wipe out the artillery, take whatever we can, basically, off the field. equipment-wise, and obviously inflict as many casualties and take as many prisoners as possible. If we had some cavalry, we could start running them down, but we haven't got any. We're still recruiting those guys, and they're taking a long time to come through. But yeah, anyway, so we're going to press on here. We're moving forward at double time with most of these units, pushing up, seeing what we can take. Skirmishers are hitting those guns, hoping that the gunners will leave the artillery pieces and just do runner, which, you know, is fairly likely. I would, if the army's pulling back and you're stuck there with an artillery piece and you got bullets whizzing around your head and thousands of enemy troops coming at you, I think you would end up leaving the guns, wouldn't you? I'm sure I would. Yeah, just mopping them up. Pressing on, pushing forward. Feeling quite pleased with myself after this battle, to be honest. Maybe justifiably, I'm not sure. It doesn't feel as good when I'm watching it here, but when I played it initially, I was thinking, yeah, it's not. That's a pretty fairly decent job. Finally starting to get a little bit better at this game. I suppose you have to eventually. Still make lots of mistakes. I mean, I suppose it happens. Like that attack with Hill's division, that was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. Cost hundreds of men. Like, think if that was real, I would have sent hundreds of men to their death there for nothing. Yep, so there we are. Victory. A minor victory, which I was also surprised at. Almost 5,000 casualties for them. Less than 1,000 for us. So that's a pretty good job. Also took out 35 guns, you know, which is obviously... That's where you want to be at. That's what you want to be looking at. 4,700 casualties inflicted. Minor victory. Right. It is what it is. So we're going to press back into the campaign here. Yep, so there we are. It's loaded in. And victory at Manassas Junction. It's telling us about the prisoners we've taken. Rifles we've captured. And Colonel Daniel loses face, you know, which I'm a bit disappointed about. 604 there, guys, killed. A bunch captured. It says 700 odd there, but then 680 were sent to our prison camp. So, I mean, what the heck? Where's the rest of those guys gone? But anyway, it doesn't really matter. So we've pushed them back again in Virginia, and we're pretty pleased with that. Pretty pleased with it overall, the way things are going in this early war. Magruder is still staying put there at Fredericksburg. And that's just fine with us. So we're just checking out some of these commanders and the units. Not sure exactly what I'm doing here. Right, so we're having a look. Ewell. See how many casualties have inflicted. We're going through these, looking at some of the stats there. Daniel suffered 344 casualties, I want to say. Inflicted 100 odd on the enemy, which, you know, it's not amazing, but yeah. And the defame thing hasn't showed up yet, but it will once the game starts. Reigns looking all right there. Looking at the casualties inflicted and suffered. Not too bad. Just going through some of these units to see what's what, see what's going on. And we're looking at the Micah Jenkins here, so they inflicted, I think, almost 300 casualties. I can't really see because, like I say, the editing screen is so small that it's hard to see those numbers. So we're looking at the Queen's Own Volunteers here, and they've inflicted 1,800 casualties on the enemy, suffering like 180 casualties themselves, so that is a crazy ratio. Another really good job from those guys. Same with Pickett's Brigade here. Inflicted a lot of casualties, 1,500. The 1st Australian Janissaries, that is. So those two brigades took the brunt of this fight and done a pretty damn good job of it. So I want to check here if Magruder's guys have lost the perk, the debuff for facing their first battle, and it turns out that they have. There's some glitch here because it's still showing the Northern Virginia force, which is under Beauregard. So I had to flick through and find Magruder's force again. Yeah, the Southern Virginia Corps. So the Black Watch Infantry, we're just having a look here basically to see what the crack is and see if they... Yeah, so it says here they took part in the battle at Manassas Junction. So even though they didn't arrive on the field, all these units should now have lost their first combat debuff, which would be nice going forward. You know, that's a pretty good thing. It seems a bit bollocks to me because, you know, And here we're just having a look at the weapons we captured. We captured a couple of thousand Springfield rifle muskets, which I'm pretty damn pleased about, because that means we can equip another small brigade with rifle muskets. We've took some 10-pound Parrots for them, one 3-inch ordnance gun, and then a bunch of other junk. Disappointing how many weapons we have. No Springfield muskets. We've got nothing available at all. Can't order anything really either. I mean, we've got Plains rifles and Mississippi's on order, 10,000 of each, but they are still like 6 months away, at least more. 9 months probably. We'll just take a look through the forces, have a look what's going on. Just a little note, my grandfather was actually in the Black Watch. Fought in the Black Watch. Come from a bit of a military family, I'm sure. Lots of you guys probably do as well. But anyway. So we're having a look here what's happening in Tennessee. This is kind of the hot spot of the place at the moment. Sending up the Mississippi Scouting Squadron. We want to see what's going on up further north. Time's ticking on again here. We're still engaged in the siege of Fort Pillow, which is crazy, really, because they had literally just took that over like a couple of minutes ago. So really, the fort should still be wrecked off the previous siege, but you know it's going to take a few days, and that's frustrating. We're just looking through the Army of Tennessee's troops here, having a look at their weapons. I mean, not amazing. I think it's like one rifle-armed unit in that whole army. The Trans-Mississippi Force sort of still gathering out. It's a bit of a conundrum what to do in Missouri. Do we push up there or not? We're outnumbered. Do we just hang on to Arkansas? Slow down the enemy coming down the Trans-Mississippi? I mean, the Trans-Mississippi is fairly important, and I think was a bit overlooked by the Confederacy historically in terms of troop numbers and things. There was far too much focus on Virginia, but of course, yeah, it had to be because of the casualties, because of the capital cities being there. But anyway, so the Army of the Mississippi is pushed back up towards the north, pulled north. So we are heading up the river with the Mississippi Squadron to see if we can spot anything. Mississippi Scouting Squadron. We're taking Grafton. We don't really have any ambition to hold on to this area because we just don't have the manpower in Virginia to open up a serious front in Western Virginia. It's mostly just to harass them. So we've also taken back Alexandria. He's pulled right out of Virginia there, which is pretty good news. Replacing Daniel, I think, because he's defamed. Which I didn't really want to, but we ended up giving him Lewis Armistead. He's a good commander, so I'm sure he'll do well there. Command of the Volunteer Hightiders. Just looking through the commander, see if there's any major improvement, but they're all looking pretty solid. Pickett's looking good. Taylor's looking good as well. All getting a little bit better, as you would expect. Obviously, the more you fight, the better you're going to get. AP Hill looked pretty good there, actually. Beauregard, fairly average, like 2s and everything, but very famous. Obviously, he's won a couple of big battles. We've given the Black Watch rifle muskets. I think I'm still complaining about the mixed musket situation. It'll sort itself out eventually. But that's no help for now. Yeah, so that siege is still going on. I've just sped it up a bit to see if we can get this done. Taking a long time. Whacking it up to times 50 to see if we can get it finished. Johnson's got a perk, and I'm thinking what I'm going to use. And we end up going with the siege train because he's besieging that fort, and I figured we might end up besieging something else, so it's bound to come in handy, and he's bound to get another perk soon enough anyway. And then I can go with my trusty ambulance corps, which is usually what I go for with new troops. Yeah, so I'm still just complaining that there's like 40 men in there holding out for day after day after day. But anyway, so it's It is definitely turned in our favour, and there they are. Glorious victory at Fort Pillow, so they've surrendered, which is nice, obviously. And we've got control of Fort Pillow once again, and I'm debating whether to put troops in there, but really, I'm wondering whether there's any point to that. We just lost the troops that were in there. It was a total waste of time, and we're just going to push the Mississippi Scouting Squadron up to see if we can spot them at Cairo or wherever it is that they've come to a halt. Yeah, we're looking through the troops here, and there's just nobody here with any amazing stats, and nobody really with anything good in terms of weapons. They've got a lot of mixed muskets in here. Yeah. Like I say, I think there's one unit in here that's got rifles, and that's it. There they are. Hey, Anderson's 2nd Florida Brigade. They've got rifles. So we've got 1,100 rifle-armed troops in this army. Well, it's a corps. We haven't unlocked the organisational form, so all these units are still corps size. We'll be working on rectifying that soon enough. Two armies up there, so we're hoping to get eyes on with the Mississippi Scouting Squadron. Debating what to do with the Army of Tennessee, and I think the plan is we're going to pull them forward to that crossroad junction there just north of Jackson, which is going to be a nice hub. Again, I was wondering there about what to do about Missouri. Quite far outnumbered here. They've got almost 130,000 in the field. We've got like, what, 80,000, 85,000. Quick look at the Navy. Not really got anything that could do anything to those massive blockading fleets. But we're thinking about the James River Squadron. We're looking at the blockades here, which are fairly effective. I mean, 21% blockaded. Not amazing, but not bad for the AI. So we just have a look what's ready here. CSS Virginia is on its way, and once that's done, we'll get them into the James River Squadron. There's also a frigate almost ready, which will also go in there. And then we've got the that cotton-clad ram, Pamlico, I want to say. Not sure. Can't really see the writing. But yeah, so we're hoping to cause a nuisance with the James River Squadron and open up some of this blockaded area. Just letting time tick on here. See what's happening. Waiting to take Grafton. Again, like I say, this is not something we're expecting to hold. We're basically doing it to try and draw troops away from the eastern part of Virginia, so they have to go back and capture that. The plan is also the Grafton Depot. We're not going to hold on to that. We like I say, we haven't really got the troops to contest this area. The West Virginia militia's up there at Wheeling, and we can't even take those on. There's only about 4,000 of those guys. So I'm just talking about the Grafton Depot and how we're not going to keep it. We're going to abandon it. Means we don't have to pay for it, and the supplies there should get redistributed, I believe. So we're going to pull them back to Charleston, West Virginia. Or Charleston, Virginia, as it is at this point. So I'm considering marching up towards Frederick, Maryland, just to cause problems again, but I'm not sure. And then I also spotted this, that the the fielded soldiers are reducing the workforce, and I'm wondering if that also works on our side. We're trying to find a town here that has some sort of workforce missing, and there is one, and yep, it does. It shows you how much the workforce is affected by recruited soldiers. So that's a new thing as far as I'm aware. I can't remember seeing that before. It's possible I just missed it. I mean, obviously I miss things all the time. Yeah, so we're building a fort there at Fredericksburg to cover that crossing. I don't know how effective it's going to be, but, you know, it's something worth doing. But then you're looking at $12 million, which is insane. We've got no policies ready, no projects ready, which is, I'm baffled at how come it's taking so long. But maybe it's just because not that much time's gone by, actually, in game. It just feels like a lot because there's been quite a few battles already. I'm saying British rifles are taking forever. Everything else is taking donkeys as well. And then we find reboard muskets, which in Grumpy Grandpa's game, he's just unlocked. And it's taken to order 10,000 reboard muskets in his game. It's going to take 700 odd days, which is insane. So I want to unlock this and see if that's going to be the same amount of time, or if that's something to do with the AOM mod that he's playing. So it'll be interesting to see and compare that, actually. Because if it is 700 days for 10,000 reboard muskets, I'll not be bothering with that. Because by the time they come, the war will be over. So I'm just increasing the subsidies here. Not too much. I don't want to ram too much in because money is tight for the Confederacy, as obviously everybody knows and you can imagine, I'm sure. Yeah. So time's just ticking on. We're kind of waiting to see what the AI is going to do, what the Union's got up its sleeve. We're pulling back the army to the northwest, back towards Charleston, Virginia, like I was saying. And basically, I'm wondering what we should be doing here. Now, the Army of Tennessee has come to this rail hub just north of Jackson. I'm not sure if it's got a name. I'm sure it has, but I don't know what it is. We spotted the two armies there, the Army of Tennessee and the Army of the Mississippi, kind of somewhere around 25,000 men between the two. And that's quite a lot, considering we've got less than 15,000 fewer than... well, I think it's about 16,000 men we have there, but way fewer than he's got. We're going to build a supply depot at this crossroads because I figure we're going to be doing quite a lot of operations here in this western part of Tennessee to make sure the Union stays out of there, or at least try to make sure the Union stays out of there as much as possible. And I'm also starting to think about raising a force for Eastern Tennessee, sorry. And that's what we're doing now. I think. Well, we're doing it soon anyway. Yeah. Pretty sure. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to raise the troops here in Tennessee. Army of West Tennessee. It's already called it that, but I think I'm going to rename it the Army of East Tennessee eventually. I'm just wondering who to put in there, Polk or Van Dorn. Neither are amazing. I do like Van Dorn, actually, but... mostly just because he caught my eye once when I first started reading about the Civil War, simply because of his name, which I thought was pretty cool. But anyway, so Van Dorn's got the Army of West Tennessee, which is going to be the Army of East Tennessee. I'll have to rename that for the next episode. Just shifting a few troops across there. He's got Heinemann as a division commander. He's not good, but he'll do for now. Yeah, just moving some guys across. There's not much available just yet, but we're still recruiting more. We've got Marmaduke there with his cavalry regiment. These are still regiments, not even brigades for the cavalry. And I'm wondering where to put them. I think we're going to go with those boys into the Army of Tennessee. Yeah, because they've got no cavalry yet at all. So they're going to have a regiment of cavalry at least, which should help improve with scouting a little bit for battles and stuff like that. You know, it'll come in handy, I'm sure. Recruiting a few other units here, including the Indian troops under Stand Watie. Much requested by many viewers. Again, just a regiment size though, because we have not unlocked the brigade size cavalry units yet. We will. So Van Dorn's over at Memphis, but I want him at Nashville, so we're moving him across. Quite an interesting character, Van Dorn. Working on Diplomacy 1. Van Dorn, he didn't really do all that well in the Trans-Mississippi. I don't think he was very well suited to Army Command, but he did quite well, I think, as a cavalry commander. Prematurely killed due to his womanizing, so it might be worth it. If you don't know about Van Dorn, go and check him out. Quite an interesting fella. Our commander of the Army of West Tennessee for now, which is going to become East Tennessee, of course, like I said. So we're wondering here, what the heck's McClellan doing? He's just out in the backwoods of Western Virginia there. Not constrained by supply at all. I mean, if your troops were out there after had just... So he fought a battle in the Shenandoah Valley, pulled back towards Stanton and pulled then into Western Virginia, towards Beverly. No supply to be had anywhere. They fought a battle, so they've got nothing. They've got no supply. They've got no food, no ammunition. If that was a player army, it would be absolutely shattered and wiped out and suffering with morale penalties, but it won't be. The AI's unit won't be. So we're wondering what the heck are they going to do, and those 1,200 men under Garnet won't be able to stop them or hold them or slow them down even. They would just pull straight back out of the way if they come at them, which they might not do. You know, they might not do. I am here complaining about this supply situation, which I've just gone through. So he shouldn't even have had Beverly as a command point for him. I don't even understand how he did, because we advanced from Beverly up towards Grafton. His army was nowhere near there, but somehow they got that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just so the AI could keep an army down here and give us a thorn in our side. Yeah, so we're pushing up there towards Cumberland in Maryland, and we're going to give them a headache, basically. That's the plan. And we're pretty much at the end of the episode here, so it's just kind of wrapping up. Not a lot happens in this last few minutes. We're still just wondering what the hell McClellan's going to be doing. So while this plays out, what I will say is that I appreciate anybody who watches these videos. I love that you guys come and subscribe and comment and stuff. I like interacting with people. I don't always get things right in this game, which I think is that's fine, isn't it? I mean, that's just the way it is. We're just moving a few troops out here. But I do enjoy playing it. However, I am starting to think about playing some new games on the channel. If you've got any ideas for new strategy games you'd like to see on here, then just drop me a line and I'll see if I've got them. If not, if they look good, I may be able to pick them up. I'm always on the hunt for new games. So, yeah. If there's something you have in mind, why not? Let me know. And if it looks good and if it looks like it'll work well for one of these series, then I'm more than happy to fire that up. And while I'm at it, again, Grumpy Grandpa Gaming, check him out. J76NY, check him out. Great content on both those channels. Also, Bramber, of course, although he hasn't released any content for the last few weeks. I don't know what's going on exactly. But when he does have content dropping again, it will be the same good quality as it always is. So check those guys out. I'll link them all in the description if you're interested. So if you're new here and you don't know the other smaller channels that are all friendly with ourselves and that I'm friendly with as well, go and check those guys out. All have good content. They're all good dudes. So yeah, do that. But for now, this is it. I'm going to call the episode here. Literally nothing else occurs. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope this style wasn't too bad. It was difficult to do, and it took a long time to do, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, if I'm honest. But it was worth it, I think. So anyway, I hope you're having a great day, whatever it is you do today. And I will catch you in the next one, where we'll have the normal narration, as always. Ta-ra for now. Have a great day.